Hey, it's Anthony Whitaker here, and welcome to today's episode of the Grow My Salon Business podcast. And whether this is your first time or perhaps you're a regular listener, thank you for tuning in today. Now, in case you don't already know, video versions of our podcast are now also available on our YouTube channel. So if you want to put faces to the names, then head on over to Grow My Salon Business on YouTube, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. So with that said, on with today's episode. Now, my guest today is a gentleman by the name of Narad Kutowaroo, who is the creative director for Unite Haircare brand in the UK. And in today's podcast, we're going to discuss Runway Ready, which is a 2-day hairstyling course that's offered to Unite clients where the participants are then guaranteed a place working backstage at London Fashion Week. And then we'll also talk about how the skills learned on the course can also help improve the hairdresser's salon work, and what the skills are that make a salon hairdresser be able to adapt to working backstage at Fashion Week. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Narad.
Hi, Anthony. How are you?
I'm very good, and I hope I've pronounced your first name correctly, and I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce your surname. In fact, I will. It's Narad Kutowaroo, which is, I think I've done not too bad a job on at that time.
You've done, fantastic on the surname.
Yeah, I know it's a difficult one to get your mouth around, so to speak, but Narad, it's great to have you here to talk to us today. Now, I really wanted to get you on the show because I was talking to Malcolm Lacey in the UK, and Malcolm is the distributor, as you obviously know, of Unite Haircare, and he was telling me all about Runway Ready, and I thought what a amazing concept it was, and so that's why I really wanted to get you on the podcast, because I know that you spearhead the Runway Ready course here in the UK, and you lead the backstage teams at London Fashion Week for Unite. So I think a good place to start, is it something that's a new initiative, or is this something that's been going on for a while?
Well, so we've had it in the UK now for a few seasons, but I'd still say it's relatively new here. It was born in the US. So our global creative director, Gary Baker, it was his idea initially. It all comes from this idea of sitting in your staff room on your break, wherever you are in the world, but predominantly outside of any of the fashion capitals, and potentially flicking through a magazine and looking at these runway pictures or even just editorial shoots, and just, I definitely know that feeling myself, and wondering like how would I get into that? What is that world? It feels quite disconnected, I think, at times, especially when you're just working in a salon, not even just being a young person in a salon. You could have been working in salon for a long time and still wondering like what is this other world? And so the idea is it's to open a door and make that easy for people to come and have an experience of Fashion Week, and to get a peek behind the curtain, should we say, at that world, and having an opportunity to see if that could be a potential thing for them.
Great. Okay. Let me dig into a lot of that. You touched on a lot of key points here that I want to talk more about. You do it in the UK, but it started in the US. I know Unite's in lots of different countries as a brand. Is it in any other countries or just UK and US?
Yeah, so myself and Gary, so we normally teach the course together. So I've been going out to New York for some time, but he was doing it even before I joined in. So we do it there, we do it in London, we've done it in Germany, and me and Gary have also started doing it out in Japan, which is pretty amazing. I feel like we're really just getting into a position where we could potentially be doing it in many other places. The fashion weeks around the globe are really endless.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of potential to be in lots of places. It doesn't have to be just in those places.
Yeah, it's something that Unite, as far as I'm aware, are the only product brand of any significance that are doing something like this. And I think that's a great point of difference. How often do you put the course itself on? Is it just a once a year thing, or is it running more than that?
So we normally have it before the fashion weeks. Right. So, for example, we normally do one like in January for the February shows in London, but then also they run classes out of the Unite head office in Carlsbad in San Diego. And then we also do run a course, which is literally the first 2 days pre-Fashion Week in New York. So we do a 2 day course, then we go straight into the shows in New York as well. So we scatter them. So obviously there's always 2 rounds of Fashion Week a year. So we'd have a class and then we go into those shows with
Okay.
those students.
Yeah. So when we talk about the course or the class, how long is it? Is it like a week or a day or a couple of days? How much time is devoted to it?
The class itself is a 2 day class. So it's in a boot camp style. It's not a sort of traditional class in that sense. So it's very hands-on. It's an experience. We really throw people in at the deep end. We get a lot of emotion out of people as well when they come. It's exciting. It's like daunting. I think that we go for a real roller coaster of like emotions with people, which is a very exciting thing to be a part of. And what's amazing is obviously at the end of the 2 days, there's obviously limits on what you can teach in 2 days, but we cover basic things that we know when you work with us on our team, these are skills that you are going to use. We cover the basics of things that we're going to do. And then, at the end, you are the team or part of the team. So,
Yeah.
that's what's great. You've had 2 days to really bond with these people that you've never met before. And then from there on out, we go out and hit the shows, and that could be many in the season or in that week, depending on where in the world we are.
Mm.
And yeah, it's a lot of fun. I always say with Gary's very strict, shall we say, he's like the bad cop, and I say I try and angle myself as more of the good cop.
Okay, that's good to have that mix. So I know
Yeah.
the US, you do them in Carlsbad in Unite's head office in San Diego. You do it in the UK.
So we work out of the Lacey's, so in Reading, so just west of London. So yeah, so at the distribution place for Unite in the UK.
Yeah, I know they've got a fantastic education facility there, so that's obviously perfect for that. Okay, who can enroll in the course? Is it obvious? I'm assuming it's just for hairdressers, but oftentimes you get people that are makeup artists and stuff that decide to lend their hand at doing hair as well. What sort of restrictions are there around that?
The class itself is open to customers of Unite or people that are interested in working with Unite. The actual sort of skill level, I think it's probably fair that you would need to be a hairdresser. But within that realm, like a team is always made up of so many different parts. So we have a scope of I have people that come that have got 30 years experience versus people that have qualified last year, because we also get people that are sent or come on the course for different reasons. Some might have been sent by their boss, and other people may have like really been looking at it for a long time and come. I think sometimes people see it as, or also people have been confused before about thinking it's like a sort of hair up style course or something like that, which is definitely not. And it is all about just working with hair, and I think how to control hair, like how to do an amazing ponytail. It's very niche. The great thing about the classroom is that everyone that's in there is into the same thing. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's quite nice to share that, but and we can all obsess over the intricacies of how to do a ponytail properly. But
Yeah.
it
Well,
is a
well,
very
well, that
niche
was
thing.
interesting that you said that. Some people think it's a hair up class, but it's not. That's interesting in itself that you say that. What do you mean by that? Because I suppose that is what a lot of people would automatically think, that it's about, I'm trying not to put the words into your mouth. So if it's not a hair up class, how would you describe it?
So I think that's like a lot of people come because traditionally what happens is at the beginning we say, okay, what's your expectation? And people say, oh, I'm not very good at putting hair up. I'm looking forward to knowing how to do that. We 100% give you those skills, but it's not just about putting hair up. We are working, number one, like the thing that we do backstage, we very rarely work alone. So it's all about working in the team. You're often in pairs, threes, fours. And it's all just about, for me anyway, it's a lot of structure and like how it's treating the hair. It's not hair, it's like a material. That's what we're doing. So if there's a vision, it's like, how do we get from A to B quickly and efficiently and using what tools? So our tools are obviously the Unite products, but it's like, in what way are we using these products? So we're often using products in a different way that you would usually. So some of the products that would normally just be on the sort of shelf in the salon, or your go-to, I have a couple of pumps of this one and I like a couple of spritz of that at the end, and I use a little bit of this for that. You might end up using half a can of that just in the prep.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's often like a big thing that people take away, is they're like, oh my God, there's so much, we use so much more product than I'm used to. And it's just changing that sort of, it's changing your eye and changing like the way you think and the way that you're looking at products. And I think that is the key, I think, is that by the end of the 2 days, we've tried to get your eye to change slightly in what you're actually looking at.
yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Are Unite products designed specifically, or are part of the range designed specifically for editorial work, or not necessarily?
Unite has always been, it's like a fashion-led hair care brand. So
Yeah.
that's like at heart what it is. It's fantastic to be able to use the products in all the fashion capitals at all the fashion weeks. But yeah, the products work so well for us, but we definitely have some of our standout things that we do and that we use, because in all product ranges, there's certain things, and like products that I shy away from a lot of the time in my work are ones that I can't reverse. Like, I need to be able to know that I can still change what I've done. So, for instance, say some things like things like the powders and dusts and stuff. Like, once that's in, that ain't
Yeah.
coming out, and that's
Yeah.
great when you know that's what you want.
Mm,
But if you're
mm.
still trying to play around with something, or you need to change it on the last minute because someone's changed their mind, or you've changed your mind, do you know what I mean? It's like knowing, that's the other thing that we work with, is we're working with products that we can quickly manipulate and change if we have to,
Yeah.
because we always have to be ready for that. Again, like in the scenario that we're teaching for, which is backstage, we
Mm.
have to be ready for any change last minute, and we really hammer that home in the class. And I think we do it to a degree that normally when we get to the show, a lot of the time people aren't surprised anymore, because we've already thrown all these curveballs at them during the class.
Yeah.
It's almost
Yeah.
like, oh no, that does actually happen. You're like, yeah, 100%. It
Yeah.
definitely happens. People changing their mind all the time.
Yeah. All right. So in these classes, how many people would be on the course? How many people? You referred to it as boot camp. So how many people would be in boot camp?
So I feel like I think the most we've had is like 15 pairs, so it's 30. But that doesn't mean you have to come with a partner.
Yeah.
We do often get like salon groups that might come together. So there might be like two or three that have come from one place. You get someone who works on their own. But what we really encourage is, because obviously as humans, we like to stick to what we know. So a lot of the time, like the students will come and then they'll all stick together around their one mannequin. So what we really encourage is that we actually break those groups up,
Right.
and like we really intermix. Because another thing is, if you do come to Fashion Week with us, we can't promise that you're going to be with your best friend all week, because a lot of the time we end up having multiple shows running at the same time across the city. Some of us might all start at one, and then we have to splinter the group off, and half go here and then the other half go there.
Okay. So when you're describing that, it's like that can put a lot of pressure on people. What sort of, unless you're confident, what sort of level of experience would you say someone needed to come on the course?
I honestly think, I don't think it's about your experience. I think all you've got to have is a want or desire to be interested in just checking it out. Because if you've got a want or desire for it, then it's totally for you. The rest of it we can teach you. And as I say, having people that have been like qualified for a year or have only just started hairdressing versus someone who's got 30 years experience, across that, there's strengths in all of it. Because a lot of the time, younger people, or like the people that have only just started, don't have a preconception of what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of the time they get stuck right in, and it's their first experience. So they're like really into it. Likewise, people that have got 30 years experience, they do have some of these definite skills that you need, like actual physical, can I do a set very quickly and stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
They have that nailed in because that's just part of their like DNA almost.
yeah,
So there's stuff for everyone. And as I say, because you're working in pairs, believe it or not, there's some things that I'm actually not as good as some other people at doing.
yeah, yeah, of course.
So in certain shows, there's times when I will take more of a backseat and let someone else do the hair. And that's the great thing about the team is that you get it done. And I think that's what's so amazing is when we do some of these weeks and it's really full on and you start to get that camaraderie and this like group effort and like that sort of feeling together when you know you've absolutely smashed it and like you might have been up against it because the model count was really high or whatever other challenge was thrown at you, but together between you, you managed to pull it off. And it's some of the best memories that I have of it. I'm even smiling thinking about it now. Like some of it is just such a good vibe because as I say, sometimes it's especially if you work on your own and you're not surrounded by other hairdressers to then find a group of people that are in as mad about something as you are. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, totally.
There's something
totally.
quite nice about that.
Yeah, yeah. When they're doing the course, I know you said it's 2 days. If you come in raw, so to speak, completely unexperienced, 2 days isn't very long. Are they working, is it a demonstration or are they working on models or are they working on mannequin heads? How does that side of it work?
So as I say, so definitely work in pairs. So you're going to be paired up with a partner and there's a mannequin head between you. So we always start the class, and this has changed over time, just from what we've learned and what we've experienced. So we ask them to show us a set. There's always a set number of things we want to see on this mannequin head.
Yeah.
And that's purely just put out there just so that we can gauge where everyone is at and what their understanding is. And then also just the language that's being used, because you know what it's like. Someone wants to have a long bob, but what is a long bob? Do you know what I mean? It's understanding, like when I say, can I have a pin curl or like a horizontal curl? What's a beach wave? Do you know what I mean? We're just trying to understand like where everyone's at and what they're thinking. And as I say, it like manages to get everyone to a level playing field. Because as I say, there's another human element of this thing. When you walk into that room initially, you know that you're looking at everyone else thinking, I bet they're good, or oh, maybe I might be a bit better than them. I don't know. That's what happens, right? It's
Yeah,
just
of
that
course.
is it.
Yeah.
And that's what's amazing is I think like day one always starts a little bit sheepish, a bit like standoffish maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the idea is to break all that down. So by the end, we know, look, and we always say you're not always going to get on with everyone. So if you are working with someone that potentially you're not like, you might be butting heads a little bit, that's also okay. We've been doing it long enough that we can often pick up on that. And then we just have to like, you find the people you want to work with. I think Gary always says it as well. Just because you come with someone from your shop or you work with someone or that's your mate, that doesn't necessarily mean that you work well together. Do you know what I mean? It's like this idea of just because you're friends, it's, oh, we better work together. Sometimes it doesn't work. You could be the best of mates, but just working together, it doesn't work. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit of a clash.
Yeah, totally. And there's a whole nother dynamic backstage in terms of egos, isn't it? Because backstage, when it's a real thing, not just in the class, you've got the models, the makeup artists, whoever's the lead hair person. Obviously, you've got the designer. There's a lot of egos and stuff back there as well, isn't there? So how do you prepare people for that side of things?
The whole thing has been built around, say, Gary's idea initially. So, Gary's come up with this original concept from his own experience. So his main thing was the idea of like, how do you even get on a team? Like for him, it was a very long, lengthy process of having to know the right person, trying out for these teams. Is it good enough? No, it's not. Come again next season, sort of thing. And then for me, like I lean on my own experience. So especially in the way that I lead teams and, how I like to think I speak to people, it's all off my own experience of working under different leads myself and knowing how I flourished more and in what environment I work best under.
Yeah.
It's just, that's all it is. It's just me leaning on my own experience and giving that out. So I'm always trying to give to people, like remembering our models have a job to do. They need to be relaxed and feeling confident within what we're giving them. So they can then walk that runway and do it to the best of their ability because they already feel empowered and they already feel amazing. So all of these things, also working alongside makeup artists, it's not a hair show. We're putting out a fashion show.
Yeah.
So the hair is only going to be as good as the makeup and the styling, and it is also remembering, like, at the heart of it, like, we are selling clothes. So the hair is something that should assist in that vision. So it's all understanding, like, it's not just about us and I need a minute to do my thing.
Yeah.
We've all got to do it. And often when you are backstage, you'll have a nail technician as well that's like somewhere on a stool round by your feet.
Yeah.
You've got a makeup artist there. And as I say, the makeup normally work on their own, but then there's two of you at least. So already that's four people surrounding one person who's been like pushed and pulled. So it's, I just try and give that over. It's just remembering, who you are and stuff. And the other big part of it, as I say, it's if it is something that you're trying to take seriously. So, we're giving you that peek behind the curtain. It's also about leaving the best impression of yourself out there, because I know, speaking from experience, all of my jobs and my whole career has been built off one job and then the next one and then the next one, because of what impression have I left behind? Do you know what I mean? What is my footprint that I've left? Someone in that room might remember, oh, do you remember that hair like person? They were like really sound, or they were really kind, or like they were really, do you know what I mean? Like they did amazing hair is always a good one.
Yeah. and they go, the guy with the name that no one can pronounce.
Absolutely, yeah. He just nods, whatever.
Okay. So if I'm a salon owner and I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, oh, that'd be interesting to go on or send my team on. And I can imagine there'd be some salon owners that would already have preconceptions about why they should or shouldn't send their team on a course like this. So let me ask you, from a salon owner's point of view, what benefit is there for them from sending their team on this course? Like, how can it help a salon?
There's many things, but I think initially what I would like to say is, if I was a salon owner, I would always try and say, come on it yourself first, just so at least, because then you can see what it is and then how it would benefit the staff. Because sometimes I think, maybe in my experience again, sometimes people get sent and then the business owner still never really truly understands what it is for or what it does. So I think that's often a good thing. And as I say, we have people with a wealth of experience in the hairdressing industry, and it's definitely not like a trap or a trick to catch out on things you may not be good at or may not know. Because as I say, we're all just human. But it's just a really great opportunity, I think, to just get your teeth into something different. And I think especially if you've got a team, it's nice to see it first. And then you can be like, yeah, this is something that we could use as a tool for our shop. But yeah, the big thing, which is important, as I say, is for your shop, I don't know, like globally, but I know especially like where I live in a town just outside of London, and our high street is mainly hairdressers, a few charity shops, and quite a lot of Italian restaurants as well.
Yeah.
That's generally the theme of the coffee shop as well. So our big thing is, it's like, how are you standing out amongst the crowd? What are you like doing differently? So obviously what we can offer you is, we can offer you the opportunity to talk about your stylists being the ones that are working in the fashion capitals around the world. And for me, that then elevates your services and the skill level of your stylists to potential clients coming off the street.
Yeah, definitely. Editorial work was something I dabbled with many years ago, and I very quickly realized, actually, it's not a fit for me. It just wasn't something that I enjoyed that much doing. But one of the things that I really got out of it was the speed element, because when you're working backstage, like you say, it's a team and there's 2 or 3 or 4 people, sometimes with one model, and you simply don't have long to do their hair. And the juxtaposition of what happens in a salon, you'll often find that, and this is what I picked up on when you said it's definitely not a hair up class. In a salon situation, you'll get clients booked in, whether it's for a formal or a wedding or whatever it is, and they need their hair up done, so to speak. And, oh, I've got to have at least an hour for that, sometimes 90 minutes for one model or bridesmaid or whatever it is. But the reality of it is that in Fashion Week, when you're backstage, you don't have that sort of time. You've got like a very short amount of time to deliver something of a very high standard. So talk to us about that side of it in terms of it teaching speed and being able to cope with pressure, because I think that's a real good benefit to take back to the salon, that you can do something start to finish and it might only take you 15 minutes, 20 minutes and it's done. And next one, please.
Yeah, certainly. That is a big takeaway that we've had from people that have done the course previously, is not only is it the service time can increase so it can get quicker, but it's also in those times when you have, and it does happen, you may get double booked or you've overrun. So now you've got two clients in the salon at the same time. The feedback we've understood is that they're way more equipped to deal with those situations instead of it now becoming like all panic stations.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
okay, how can I work through this problem? Because that's what we are as session stylists, really, is we're problem solvers. We just get from A to B in the most efficient way.
Yeah.
And then as far as like being able to do the hairstyle or whatever in a quick way, so that's what we cover in our sort of boot camp. And as I say, the class kind of extends through Fashion Week because every show is different. So every hairstyle, there's often sometimes you'll see a theme each season. So you might see some reoccurring techniques that we've used. But every time, because of who the model is, we've got all hair textures, we've got all different hair types. So every time, where even if you're doing the same look on across two different heads of hair, you might approach it in two different ways.
Yeah.
So what we teach is often how certain products may assist you in reducing time and the speed of like how you may attack the hair up, if as it were.
Yeah, yeah, got it. So instead of, I hate coming back to that same point, I've got a thing I've still wanted to mention, that it's not a hair up class. It's more about styling and finishing hair. Would that be a better way to describe it? Thing with hair.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like a big part of it is just how you handle hair, because I think sometimes that's often, something we not actually having control over what you're doing. So whether that comes down to when you're trying to do a ponytail, the age-old thing is you're like brushing it, and then you get it good, and then this bit falls down, and then you grab it up again, and then now that bit's gone. And I'm getting so frustrated. So it's trying to understand, how do we stop that from happening? Like, how are we able to use our hands and our tools? So we look at all our hairbrushes and our combs and like certain things that are going to assist you even more. But it's also understanding about just breaking stuff down. Like for me, everything I teach is really basic. I'm not trying to make myself sound like rubbish, but it's just coming back to the ABCs. It's all like stuff. Every time I say it, it's like, it's just our brains just get so hyper about like things. We get so confused, we confuse ourselves and we miss like oh yeah, of course it's that. Do you know what I mean? So it's like trying to like just take a breath. I'm always saying, take a breath. Just take a breath. And then we go for it. Because it's like, I say, especially if your maybe hair up isn't your thing. And then now you look in your column and it's, oh no, I've got at 4 o'clock, I've got that woman. So all day you're like, oh God.
Yeah.
And then she comes in and then you've potentially doing something that you don't even want to do, but you're just going through some motions because it feels like you will learn out of this, about how to like take a breath, understand what am I setting out to do here? How am I going to get there? And it's just breaking everything down into these like simple steps so that you can do it. And as I say, there'll be lots of different things that you pick up, and every show and every model you do, there'll be a little thing that you're going, oh yeah, that was interesting why I did that instead of that way.
Yeah, yeah. Do you, as the lead hairdresser, do you meet with the designer before the show? Like, I'm talking weeks before the show, to talk about the look and feel that they want to go for. And that's your brief with the designer. And then you go away and think, okay, I'm going to do this type of hair for that show. So you narrow it down to a couple of different looks or whatever. What I'm then asking you is, are they then the looks that you teach on the boot camp?
So it really depends. Sometimes we are very blessed and lucky that we do get a few days lead ahead of the
Mm.
show. So we have the fitting and the hair test. So we get to go to the studio or whatever, meet with a designer. We have a fit model and we can try some things out. They may show us their inspiration. We also may have an input on what ideas we have. And then and there, hopefully, we come out with our finished look that we're going to then do. But as I say, also that then is how does that translate for all models?
Yeah, of course.
So
Yeah, yeah.
it's whether the hair is long, short, say
Mm.
different textures, different hair
Mm.
types. So you have to then consider what this feeling or mood is and how does that fit amongst everyone.
Yeah.
So sometimes, as I say, we've been blessed enough to get that before the class, or even it might be day one of the class. Say this happens in New York all the time. We're teaching the class, coming to the end of the day, I've got to shoot off to wherever, Brooklyn or whatever, and do a hair test. But then that
Mm.
means that night I've come home, and then the next day too, I can be like, so tomorrow we've got this show. Let's go through this look so we can cover all of that. But in saying that, sometimes we don't get that luxury. And some of the shows that we do, it might be that we have multiple designers walking in the same day in the same venue. And a lot of the time on that is literally a sort of I turn up and I'm just given this is look one, this is look two, this is look three, this is four. So then I have to break it all down and understand like how we're going to attack it and how I'm going to get the team to attack it. So
Sure.
this is where the things that we cover in the class, that's what we really try and think about, because the skills that we teach in the class, they can be elements of a hairstyle. So it's like we're going to approach step one as this, and we're going to use this technique that we did. There'll be people that go, oh, yeah, that technique, I was really good at doing that in the class. But then there
Mm-mm.
might be people that go, oh, no, it's that one that I really struggled with. So
Yeah,
then in
yeah.
your pair, you'll be like, here you go, you lead this one, and I'm going to be more ready with the tools and the hairspray and that.
Sure.
So that's the team element coming into
Yeah.
play already.
Yeah, got
So
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's where that's what we're trying to cover in the class is these
Mm.
things that you definitely 100% will use in some form
Mm.
at Fashion Week.
Okay. It must be interesting, like you mentioned, first morning of the class, people come in and they're all sizing each other up a little bit and feeling a bit uncomfortable, a bit nervous about what's going to happen here. Then at the end of 2 days, they feel a lot more comfortable. And then you guarantee them, don't you? You guarantee them that they can work backstage at Fashion Week. And so what I'm getting to is about the motivation aspect of this. By the end of show day, they must be pretty pumped. A lot of them must have been like really excited that, oh my gosh, I started off as a hairdresser working in a salon and I'm still doing that and loving every moment of it. But this has been an incredibly good experience. They must feel really motivated about what they do. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yes, I mean it's initially I think yeah the end of the 2 days of the class, or especially at the end of the Fashion Week, we have these new WhatsApp groups of new best mates, do you know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
we've
yeah, yeah.
all
Yeah.
achieved this thing together, which is amazing. Also, what's really nice is when we do get a lot of people that return, speaking to some of them, I know when I did it first time, I was a bit more reserved. So I was very much happier just having the pins and the hairspray and
Yeah.
being more of an assistant style
Yeah.
person. And then when they return, they're like, I'm going to put myself out there a bit more and maybe push a bit more to like actually do some hair,
Yeah.
which is great because that's all about the growth. And like, we even see it ourselves in like the personalities that we get. You can get some people that are so quiet and reserved initially. And then by the end, because they've found this thing that they've didn't know existed or didn't know it was a thing,
Mm.
they've come out of their shell a bit more, or they're now like really thriving in that environment. Someone that came last on the last course, and the feedback from them was that they're a salon owner themselves, and it said that it's reignited their passion
Right.
for hair.
Yeah,
And
good.
I think like things like that, you can't really ignore that. That's what's really cool about it because I'm only giving what I know and from my own experience. But if that's like what it can actually do for some people that are so bogged down with the humdrum day-to-day running of a business and just feeling like they're just a bit stuck, or maybe this isn't what I set out to do. And then you can give them this opportunity that is now reigniting their like the reason why they started it. Because when we were all assistants, we didn't do it for money because you don't get paid anything. So it's really good to reconnect with that side of it. Do you know what I
That's
mean?
very
Like,
interesting. Yeah, no,
to,
definitely.
I think.
Definitely. Good. Okay. Who are the people that attend? Do they tend to be employees that work in a salon, or do you get people that are self-employed stylists? Is it a mix of the two? Because in today's world, there are so many self-employed stylists out there. Obviously, they don't get paid to be doing this. It's like experience, and they've got to pay to be there, to go to the boot camp, etc. So, what does that mix look like?
Yeah, it's a real mixed bag. Someone like myself, there's a lot of self-employed people that come, and a lot of their drive and motivation is purely to be around other hairdressers again, because a lot of them have had a previous existence in the salon. And I
Yeah.
know, like, when I left the salon many years ago now, but that was always my fear, was that like now I'm my only guide on what's good. I haven't got like a checker next to me to be like, oh no, I need to like up this or be better at that. It's just I think the worry is that you can just settle into this like maybe mediocrity of just doing things. So a lot of people come and they meet other like-minded people. Do you know what I mean? They've now got this network of people that they can talk to, and we're all doing Fashion Week, so we're getting a glimpse at what is cool, what's the new trends, like what are people going to be wanting next year, what are people going to be, because it all waters down from the runway, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, so you get a lot of self-employed people that come for skills, but also for the camaraderie of it all. And then you do get people that come from salons as well, and for many different reasons. I think there's a couple of examples of people that came. One was actually a salon stylist and one was self-employed. They were looking at who their clients are. So the clients that they do, and they were very like glamorous, like young women with money. So they were very smart. They came and did our initial class in Reading, but then they took themselves off and did the Miami Swim Week. So that whole look there is like a more glamorous sort of, it fits with who their client is.
Yeah.
So it's a
Got
very
it.
smart approach, because then they were able to obviously use all the imagery from those shows and use that for their own publicity and their own advertising.
Yeah.
So now the images now fit who they're trying to attract,
Got it.
and
Yeah.
on the
Okay.
best stage that they could possibly do it at.
Yeah.
Which is a very,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. No,
it's
that's
just a
interesting.
smart way of working. And
Yeah.
likewise, that's what I mean. I think that's how you should be approaching it if you're coming. As I say, one, it should be that you're interested. But then if you want to think about it a bit harder, how will this benefit me? What is the most I can get out of it? Because we always push to salon owners and stuff about press releases and stuff after the event, before the event, and during the event, in the run up to it. If you have your salon, you could be talking to your local press about, oh, how exciting our ex-member of staff or our team are going to be at London Fashion Week or wherever in the world, working backstage. And then during Fashion Week, you'll be able to talk about that yourself on your own social media things. Again, your local press outlet might be interested to know that you are there.
Sure.
And then
Yeah.
obviously afterwards, you can then call back to it. Like, here are the images from whatever Fashion Week you did.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's just
Okay.
all about, I think because there's so many different things to do within it, there's something for everyone to take.
Yeah. What would you say the biggest misunderstanding or the biggest fallacy is that young hairdressers have about doing editorial work, session work, backstage work, however you want to define it? What would you say that was?
Just generally in the sort of
Yeah.
in that world. Yeah. Probably initially that you're going to be a millionaire. 'Cause
Good luck with that. Yeah.
yeah. I think people often get a bit, even with me, I'm still doing days of work for nothing just because of the love of it, the reason of meeting different people and like the potential work afterwards. Yeah, it's not, you do get some incredible jobs and incredible experiences out of it. But I think the initial thing is that if you're doing it for cash, it's probably not it. So that's one. But as I say, you totally can get paid well, but it's not that every day is like a big payday.
Of
It's
course.
definitely
Yeah.
not. And
Yeah.
it's the reinvestment that you're continually doing. Do you know what I mean? It's all the things that I'm continually getting to be able to do my job is
Yeah.
quite a never-ending list. So there's that. And then I also think it's the idea of, I said about it earlier, it's the eye of what you're looking at. And this is a big learning thing for me because I came from a salon background and I was given an opportunity to work with a band that I did straight out of the salon, and I was thrown into this world of doing all these shoots and like music videos and stuff like that. And I was thinking on my feet really, and it took me like a bit of time for the penny to drop of like how what I was seeing and what I thought I was trying to achieve were two different things. So like for me, often it's like the imperfection is kind of more the perfection in it. That might sound like waffle,
No, no,
but
it doesn't sound like waffle at all. I understand what you mean. There's even a word for that. The Japanese have a word for that because it's a thing. Do you know what I mean? And if I say the Japanese word,
go on.
I'll no doubt get it wrong. And someone will tell me you got that one wrong. But anyway,
Oh,
yeah. No, look, I get that. I was just reflecting back on who is who is suited to this type of work. As much as who is not suited to it, because a lot of hairdressers are superstars in their own mind, and to be really suited and be good at this, it's actually very much about being part of a team and understanding that you're not the most important person in the room and that you have to fit in with the team. And that thing you said before is it's not a hair show. It's like you're doing the hair for something else, whether it's about fashion or potentially, I was just watching, I don't know if you've seen Marie Antoinette, but the hair on it was just amazing. It was like just incredible hair. I just couldn't stop looking at how good her hair was. It was quite amazing. But generally speaking, it's not like that. I think you referred to it as, you didn't say accessorizes, but the hair is almost an accessory to the fashion. It's to complete the look of
yeah,
the whole thing, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, there's some iconic shows that you can reference where the hair was obviously a bigger part of the story to
Of
tell.
course, yeah.
But as I say, that's obviously within that process of coming to that is come from the designer. So
Yeah.
then the lead up onto that is going to be like way more. And yeah, so that's obviously with that. But a lot of the time, my experience is that because we're selling clothes, sometimes why do you see so many ponytails or so many buns? It's to get like a silhouette where it's basically we've just left with a mannequin effectively. And so the distraction isn't from the hair. So that's then our job to make it something that it has an interest, but it's not like detracting from what you're actually trying to sell.
Yeah, got it.
But yeah, I think you're saying about who is it designed for. I think you need to be able to be a good student when you're there. Because as I say, this is for people that have always wanted it or have always wondered about it. So if you have an interest in it, this is who it's for. But then in order for me to try and help you as much as I can in the initial 2 days and then over the week, I always just say it's just eyes and ears. Just keep both of them open, and then we're gonna do quite well.
Yeah.
Because that's what I see. And as I say, that doesn't mean anything about an experience within the industry. That's just more about a personality trait. I think
Yeah.
if you're teachable and coachable,
Yeah.
you can, as I say, you can have all the experience or you could have little to none. But if you're willing to take the information on board, that's when we're going to go a long way.
Exactly. And that is the perfect place to start wrapping up. But yeah, I love what you just said then. It's having that willingness to learn. And sometimes not having experience is actually a good thing
Yeah.
because you're an open slate, so to speak, a blank slate. Where can people find out more about this? If someone's listening to this, no matter where they are, and they're thinking, gosh, I'd love to do that, where would you point them towards?
So the Unite website has all the information on all the classes that are available. So that's globally, but specifically in the UK, it would be Unite UK website, and that is all run via Lacey's in Reading. Both of those places are good places to start. And then also all the social media channels that are to do with Unite as well. Someone would also answer off the back of that. And failing that, I'm always there as well. If you needed to reach out to me, I'll try and always get back to you too, or at least point you in the right direction.
Okay. So where can people connect with you on Instagram or other social media channels?
Yeah, so I'm mainly on Instagram. So it's just my own handle, my name, which is really easy to pronounce.
Okay, listen, I will put your name, your Instagram handle in the show notes of today's podcast. So if you're listening to this and you want to find out more, I'll put those links for Unite in the UK and the US and anywhere else that Narad wants me to include in that. And I'll put Narad's Instagram handle in there so you can connect directly with him. And I'll also put a link for a podcast interview I did. I'm not sure what year it was now, but it might have been 2 or 3 years ago with Andrew Dale, who is the founder of Unite. And I used to work with him when he was a hairdresser standing behind the chair at Sassoon's in the early 80s. He was in the first salon that I worked in. He was a little bit ahead of me, a year or so as a stylist. It's interesting to see what an amazing career he's had and what a huge success he's turned the Unite brand into. I'll put the link for that podcast that I did with him in the show notes as well, because it's very interesting tracking his story from hairdresser to now being the founder of a very significant brand in the world of hair care. If you're listening to this podcast with Narad and you've enjoyed it, do me a favor and share it with people that you know would also enjoy it. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a rating and review on the Apple Podcast app. So to wrap up, Narad Kutowaroo, thank you for being on the Grow My Salon Business podcast this week.
Yeah, thank you so much.
My pleasure. It's been great. Really enjoyed it.